Hi everybody, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to make a healthy herbal alternative to juice.
Amazing!
So there are kids all over the country, all over North America, either heading back to school, already back in school, or heading back to homeschool. How are you feeling about heading back to homeschool this year?
I am feeling amazing about it. I loved last year's curriculum, and I'm even more excited about this time because we're adding things that I feel really excited about. Perhaps even more than
last year?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you want to check out our homeschool curriculum for grade 4, we can post a link to that up here. We also did a video for grade 3 too, if you're interested. But one of the things I wanted to talk about was lunches. And oftentimes in those lunch bags, parents feel like maybe we should be packing juice boxes, but they don't want to send sugary things to school with the kids, right? So I want to teach you guys how to make a healthy herbal alternative that still tastes delicious. Are you ready to help me out?
I am ready. As ready as anything.
So the recipe we're going to be making today is called a Herbal Kool Aid. You can find it in my book. What page was it on, kiddo? On page 75. And it has 3 ingredients in it that I want to talk to you about today. So the first being stinging nettle. And that probably doesn't sound really good, right?
Oh.
But one of the reasons why we want
It's
to...
gonna stick my tongue, right?
It won't, because it's dried. One stinging nettle is dried, cooked, covered in alcohol, sauteed in any way, shape, or form, the sting goes away. But one of the reasons I like to include it is because it's really, really high. Here, and I'll get my husband to do a close-up of some dried nettle here. It's really high in vitamins A, C, K. It's got a really great range of B vitamins. It also has magnesium, manganese, iron, potassium, copper, phosphorus, and zinc. You can see why I want to include it in this tea. Another ingredient that we're going to be adding is hibiscus. And this is one of the ingredients that makes it taste really, really good. So here's some dried hibiscus. And I'll post a link to Harmonic Arts below because they're a great option for you guys to buy herbs in bulk. And hibiscus is a really powerful antioxidant. It's an anti-inflammatory. And this is mostly because of its really high levels of vitamin C. And we know that vitamin C is really good for our immune system, right?
Oh, yes it is.
And so this is an excellent thing to send along to kids, because we often get the sniffles at the beginning of the year. Hibiscus is also really high in calcium and iron. So another great plant to add in. And last but not least, we'll be working with some dried rose hips, which are also another really great source of vitamin C. And if you're not familiar, it's probably hard to see through the bag. Let's see, there we go. Look at those beautiful rose hips. And if you're not familiar with the benefits of vitamin C, I can post a link to that video up here as well. So for now, we're going to be creating our tea. So when you see tea recipes online, you're often going to see them in terms of, like, for example, I'll read mine to you. It's 3 parts hibiscus, 2 parts nettle, and 1 part rose hips. So what that means is that whatever your part is, so for us, our part today is going to be a teaspoon.
Teaspoon.
So if I say 3 parts hibiscus, how many teaspoons do I need?
3.
Exactly. 2 parts nettle,
2.
right? And 1 part rose hips.
2.
So this is going to be making about, oh no, just 1 part. This is going to be making 1 liter of Herbal Kool Aid. So we'll start with the stinging nettle. And this is a great activity to get your kids involved in, teaches them about measurements, and it also gets them involved in the beverages or food that you're going to be making. All right, so we need 2 parts. You got to fill that up all the way, little man. 2 parts stinging nettle. That's pretty good.
Too much.
That's all right.
Never too much stinging nettle.
All right, then we're gonna want 3 parts hibiscus. So if you wanna make a smaller amount of this, say you wanted to do this in a pint-sized jar, I would just suggest using a ½ teaspoon and just continue the same ratios.
Things of the stinging nettle.
No, you did 2. It's 3 parts hibiscus. This is one that has the most. Good. I really like getting my son involved in making herbal teas. because it teaches him about plants and also gets him involved in the kitchen. That's going to be a big part of our homeschooling curriculum this year, is getting him to help with things like food prep, because he's not leaving this house not knowing how to cook. And last but not least, we're going to do 1 teaspoon of rose hips. So then your next step is to get some water boiling. So once ours is ready, I'll see you back here. So our water has come to a boil, and we're going to add it to our mason jar. So here is a pro tip. Make sure you add a knife to your jar. This is going to help absorb some of the heat so your jar doesn't crack. And of course, this is an adult supervision job, right, buddy?
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to fill...
Exactly why I'm not doing it.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to fill up our mason jar. So basically, I like to let this steep until I can easily touch the outside of the jar and it's no longer super hot. So once this is cool enough now to touch, you're going to strain your herbs out, and then you can add in your sweetener of choice. So as an alternative, you can add, and this is very much to taste, a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of stevia if you don't want to use a sweetener. We prefer using either a raw honey or a little bit of maple syrup, because both of those sweeteners have additional health benefits. So we're gonna let this steep and do its thing and come back and show you how it tastes in just a little bit. So our Herbal Kool Aid has been sitting for just over an hour now, and I can easily touch the jar. But it's still warm, and this is a great time to strain it out, because this is when you're going to be able to add your sweetener. So I'm just going to pour it through, straining everything out. And if you don't get everything out, or make a giant mess like I do, if you guys have been watching me for a while, you know I'm a disaster in the kitchen. Pretty much everywhere. Get all the herbs out. And then I like to do a secondary strain using my smaller mesh strainer. And I, of course, have made a giant mess. Thank goodness I didn't get it all over the book. I like to do a secondary strain because there's actually a lot of fine kind of dust left over. So I'll strain it through. I don't mind a little bit of dust in the end, but my kiddo is not a big fan. And so this fine mesh strainer will catch. See, check it out. Look at all that stuff it caught that would have been in your Herbal Kool Aid. And then today I decided I'm going to add just a little bit of maple syrup. And it's great to do this while the beverage is warm, because then if you're using honey, it's going to dissolve nicely. Honey, maple syrup, like I said, you can use stevia. I try to steer away from any of like commercial sugars or anything like that, or get your kids to try it. They may feel like it doesn't really need any sweetener at all. So I'm probably adding about half a tablespoon, and I'll give it a quick stir, and I'll give it a taste and see whether, that's what to taste means. Give it a taste, see if it needs a bit more. Oh, it's delicious. So I'm going to pop that into the fridge, and I'll get my kiddo to try it in just a little bit. So, how's the Herbal Kool Aid?
It is amazing.
That's fantastic. I hope you guys enjoy this recipe. I really like sharing alternatives for families who don't want to give their kids a lot of sugar. Juice, even natural juices, have a lot of sugar, and this hardly has any at all. So I hope you enjoy it as an alternative to send off to school with your kids. I wish everybody good luck this week as well, starting school, homeschool, private school, learning pods, whatever you're doing. I hope it goes well. This recipe, as well as over 75, I think, other herbal recipes I have, are in my book, including 9 other tea blends. So I definitely recommend you grab yourself a copy. If you have any questions or comments about this recipe, please leave those below. And until next time, this is Correne and Kiddo wishing you health and wellness.